I went out and I got Randy's Donuts and In-N-Out Burger.
Lego Marvel Avengers Climate Conundrum was a mouthful on Netflix.
Lego Marvel's Avengers Climate Conundrum is a lot of setup for a pretty short series.
Well, Lego Marvel's Avengers Climate Conundrum is right up my alley.
Ooh. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. Mohammed, what's up?
Hey, happy to be here on Fallingtower's Watch the First.
Damn it, I tried to catch you on that one, but you still...
I was thinking ahead.
I know. Today, we're doing a review, of course, of Lego Marvel's Avengers Climate Conundrum on Netflix entitled Episode 1. The first episode is entitled Episode 1. Hardly more creative than pilot, but we have a very special guest, of course.
I have a word come up real quick. It said Iron Rivalry right as it came up. I don't know if that was supposed to be the episode name.
That would be much better, but it kept saying Episode 1, so maybe that's something. Look, we have a 3-time Emmy nominee and 1-time Emmy winner, meteorologist Katie.
Hello. I'm so glad to be here with you guys.
An all-time awesome.
Yeah, she got the Emmy for
everything is awesome with you. Yes.
Everything is awesome.
There you are.
That would have been a good intro if we said everything is awesome. Anyway, that was a good movie. All right. So everybody at home, you may have guessed what we're doing by now. And by guessed, I mean figured out because we said it 5 times. If you'd like us to review a show in the comments below, please just tell us what you'd like us to review and where we can stream it so that way you could just say, I want you to see whatever on Hulu, and we could just click on Hulu and watch it. Just type in WTF. In this case, you would have said WTF Lego Marvel Avengers Climate Conundrum on Netflix, and we would have watched it maybe. Anyway.
Like, you could also do WTF Fireball XL5 on pirated DVDs. Like, find a way.
I don't know what that is. And I don't recognize that streaming service.
Well, you know.
Because DVDs, you're going to have to mail them to all of us. That's kind of a lot. Probably better to go with the streaming service.
Yeah, better to go with the streaming service. Legally better to go with the streaming service.
Yeah.
I don't think my DVD player has been hooked up for 10 years, actually.
Oh my God.
Like, I have one sitting back there that's not even hooked up to anything. It's just, anyway.
I think I have one computer that has a DVD player.
Yeah, computers don't even have those anymore.
Still has one, but that's the only one. My oldest one.
I built a PC custom, and I have a DVD slot because I watched so many. How strange is it? I feel like I'm reversing the age thing. Yeah. You can like DVDs.
Katie also has an 8-track player in her car, in her Buick.
Yeah. Not too far off, actually. Gotta love those Camrys.
All right. Let's get this show on the road, everybody. So, where are we starting, Mohammed? Let's get up into this.
It's a predicament. I think we have to predict what each other thought of this first pilot episode.
Yeah, so we've known each other for not a terrible amount of time, just a beautiful amount of time, but we've worked, actually, Katie and Mohammed and I worked together on Virtual TrekCon and a bunch of other fun things that are all Virtual TrekCon related. So we know each other pretty well. I'm going to predict, Mohammed, that you are not overly fond of this episode. Because I'm not sure it's 100% your style, and also because you gave us a little bit of a hint when you said there's a lot of a buildup for a very short series because it's only 4 episodes long. So maybe there's something there. Katie, with your golden curly locks today, looking amazing. Let me think. Let me think.
Gotta flaunt it while you got it.
I don't have it anymore. I'm just kidding.
I used to have golden red curls when I was a baby too, but then they went away.
Really?
Yeah, I used to have like red curly hair till I was like 2 years old, and then it got like straighter and darker. Yeah, everybody thought I was a lady.
Hair when I was born.
Really?
That's wild. Yeah. Yeah. All of it. That's where my hair went.
All right. So, Katie, I predict that you like this a little bit. Not a ton, but a little bit. And I think both of you are going to give it a little bit of extra points because it's about climate and, helping things out. And by the way, oh my God, Mohammed, I think you're going to like this because, it's got a lot of science in it. And Katie, I think you are going to be very happy that they're literally talking about the weather. So I couldn't believe it. I was like, what a deal. What a thing that we stumbled upon. Anyway, those are my predictions. What do you think, Mohammed?
Well, I agree with you on Katie. I'm fairly certain Katie's going to be pretty excited about this. Not just because of the appropriateness, but I think just the concept, would appeal to you. And, I know you like animated shows and things like that. So I think you're going to come off pretty positive about it. Ryan, you're a harder one. I'm going to guess that you liked it pretty well. Like, I don't think you loved it, but I think it's like, okay, I can appreciate this for what it is. And I think I'll come in good. That's my prediction.
Well, you two are different, I feel. I think, Mohammed, you definitely liked it for the science side of things. So you're probably above average. Not quite the peak of the scale, but above average. And Ryan, I feel like maybe you're slightly below average. Like it left a little bit to be desired, but maybe you still enjoyed parts of it. So, some Lego parts of it. So I'd say slightly below and slightly above normal.
All right. Sounds fun. So everybody at home, you make your predictions in the live chat or in the comments below. Do you think I liked it? Do you think Mohammed liked it? By the way, Dr. Mohammed Noor, who is the Dean of Arts and Sciences at Duke University, there's another hint for you on whether he may have liked this, or maybe he was hypercritical of it because of that. Kind of like how Star Wars fans, the bigger Star Wars fan they are, the more they hate Star Wars. It's this weird thing.
Interesting.
Katie, if you think that Katie liked it, let us know in the live chat. And those are your predictions. Let us know. Type away. While you're doing that, Dr. Noor is going to buy you a little bit of time by telling us all what this show was even about.
I was going to suggest that what we could do is we could try to guess what people are going to guess for us. So say like, Dave Gregory's going to think I gave it an 8 or something like that.
That would be too much fun. War Dog Heim would just be like, Ryan, the Cali curmudgeon's going to hate this like he always does.
Anyway, for this episode. So, at the annual Environmental Atmosphere Awareness and Global Pollution Cleanup Coalition Conference, things go awry when saboteurs from AIM mess up various inventions and ultimately convince Justin Hammer, who has a cool name, to help them steal Stark's weather control device. A long fight ensues with the Avengers, with lots of throwing items or throwing people, and various dramatic yet strikingly ineffective lasers and missiles are traded. Ultimately, AIM gets away with the weather control device, and Justin and Tony are locked in the heat of battle. To be continued in episode 2.
Wow.
Very good job.
Yeah.
Quality voiceover skills.
Very nice. Can we go into what we expected versus what we got on Mohammed's intro just now? That would be fun.
Yeah. One and the same.
Yeah.
Living up to expectations.
Mohammed, do you want to introduce this next chapter of this show?
Oh, yeah. This is the one I like to call Expectations, because we talked about what we expected, spent just a little bit of time on that, and what we getchin, which is what we spend most of the time on, what you actually got in this show, in this pipeline.
All right. So let's compare and contrast what we expected versus what we got. Everybody at home, feel free to do the same if you've seen this show. Let's see. Mohammed, you want to start us off? What did you expect before you watched this first episode, if anything?
So I had not heard of this before. And I remember even when you texted me the name, I was like, what? What is that name? So I was a little surprised about that. I expected basically the Avengers in Lego form. I've seen other Lego shows before too, and not just the one you're probably thinking of right now, Ryan, but other ones in the past too. But,
I know what you mean.
I expected, a mixture of some overarching plot, but also lots of silliness in the execution. That's pretty much what I expected going in.
Katie, your thoughts? Same question to you. What did you expect before you watched this first episode, if anything?
Well, I expected it to somewhat revolve around the weather. Hopefully, I think is what the best way to put it. I hopefully expected that would happen. But I also was expecting, because I've seen the Lego movie and other Lego television content, so I expected some humor for the grown-ups as well as just overall enjoyment for the kids because it's in Lego format. And I expect it to be in Lego format, so.
All right. So I'll tell you what I expected. Not a whole lot. I had seen the Lego movie. I remember being dragged to it, kicking and screaming and going like, that was actually really good. Like, I remember that first Lego movie with the Everything is Awesome song. I was like, hey, does anybody know that this is actually really well written? And people are like, yeah, no shit, bro. Catch up. But anyway, so I didn't really think about that, though, before we watched this. I just saw, okay, it's a picture of Lego Avengers. I like the Avengers. An animated show is going to be easy to watch and fun. You know, Lego, Marvel, Avengers. Seems easy, seems fun. That was the extent of it. I thought that it would be at the very least a chill ride. But that's what we expected before we watched the first episode. Dr. Noor, what did we actually get? You specifically.
Sure. So for me, there were elements I really liked, and there were elements that I was slightly less pleased on. But overall, I'd say I liked this. I think I enjoyed it pretty well going into it. Shortly before it, for reasons we won't discuss, I actually watched a different Lego movie, which was Lego Marvel Black Panther. So
it's because I changed it last minute, everybody. Muhammad said, hey, do you know that there's only one episode to this Black Panther thing? And so we had to change because it's not really technically watching the first episode of something if there's only one episode. So Muhammad,
the last question,
good save there. Thank you. Yeah, good save. Thanks, Muhammad. Well, that's exactly why we couldn't do it. I was like, there's no second question. Anyway, please continue.
I have to say, I like this one much more. I was not that thrilled with that one, but I enjoyed this one quite a bit more. I thought this one was actually quite interesting. The elements I liked. Well, I liked the overall sort of climate plot. You guys were right. The science aspects. I have some comments about some of the sciencey things that I thought were pretty cool. I want to come back to. Yeah. The setup was pretty good. I mean, it was fairly easy to follow. I was worried that the silliness would be like so over the top that I would find it just kind of dumb. But no, actually, it was the right amount of stuff. It's enough to make me occasionally chuckle, but not enough to make me really shake my head. I felt like it was a good setup. Like it had me wondering, like, boy, I wonder what's going to happen next. I wonder how this is going to, play out. So I felt like plot-wise, that was good. I did, as I mentioned in the introduction, I did find the lasers and missiles like why do they even have these things? It seems like they do nothing. The one thing I found sort of along those lines, the only thing I found a little bit frustrating is I felt like the fight scene just went on and on and on and on and on. Like, okay, we're spending like 2/3 of the episode on this fight scene that actually nothing really is accomplished from. So that was the one piece I wasn't that thrilled with. But overall, I came away pretty positive. I have a lot of specific things I'll get into when we get into the nitty-gritty of it. But let me stop there for now so Katie has a chance to talk.
Mm-hmm. Katie, now that you have a chance to talk, what did you actually get, by the way?
Honestly, I'm along the same lines as Muhammad because what I got was the humor. There were a couple of times where I just kind of was watching it and just deadpan started laughing. So I got that part of it. And I also did get the weather side of things. And for other details that we'll get into later, I now really want to be a consultant in television.
Because they need it.
I think that would be fun. And it would also save me some problems. But yeah, no, we got a show that had humor. It had Lego pieces, and we had very ineffective laser beams. It was kind of like if a kid just like shoots one of those little spitballs at you. Eventually, if it piles on a million times, it might do something, but
maybe Nerf gun.
Yes, exactly. After a while, it'll end up hurting.
Hey, if you're interested, if you and anybody who's watching, if you're interested in consulting, if you go to there's a website for the Science and Entertainment Exchange. This is a program sponsored by the National Academy of Sciences, specifically for linking creatives in the entertainment industry with scientists. And you can put in there what your specialties are, and they'll help link you up. Yeah.
I need to talk to you about this.
Katie has just found her golden goose. This is the moment. Everybody, you've witnessed it. Yes. The moment where it all began. And I'm going to ruin it.
Could be.
I'm going to ruin it by saying, and this is what I actually got, everybody. I got a show that was, kind of like, basically it started off kind of slow for me, and I put in my notes, I'm already bored. And then a little bit of action started to happen. I was like, okay, it's picking up. And then I kind of got almost more bored because it was just action without really any plot, and it didn't really make sense. It just kind of seemed like colors going around and Hulk smash stuff. So what I got was a show that was, mediocre, but it had some great elements. And I tried to put myself in the position of, well, if I'm a kid, is this good for kids? And the answer I came up with was medium. Right? It's good for parents to put in front of kids because it's got a great message. And I was very happy that it was called Climate Conundrum, right? Ooh, and so my first thought was, it's going to talk about climate. That's great. And in their not so subtle ways, they kind of touched upon the things that we need to address. It didn't just say we're saving the environment, we're saving the climate. It's actually giving kids the subject matter that they need to know that are part of the problems, right?
Agreed.
Absolutely. They explained the problems and explained possible solutions.
Yes.
And that's good to connect the dots on those, because then it gets kids thinking about alternative solutions.
Or implementing those some way. Yeah.
Exactly.
So echoing what Katie said earlier, you liked it slightly below average.
Aha!
Is that correct?
I'll never tell. And by never, I mean not right away, but a little later. But I did have a question. Did I see War Machine show up for like 3 seconds?
Yep.
And then disappear and not join the fight and not help these guys and not... What did I miss?
It's my day off.
Didn't he grab Captain America and left? I think that's what happened, right?
And
He's
then
like,
left.
Come on, Cap.
But then where did he go?
It felt like the episode just stopped. It was almost like they had like a movie and they just said, all right, here, end of episode.
Exactly. But they're like, it's Netflix. They'll binge it. It doesn't matter if you break it into episodes.
Exactly.
It's fine.
But not just that, like, where did, like, he just left and was no longer part of the episode. Like, he was a messenger, and he was just like, sorry, suckers, I'm out of here. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
There was a cat up a tree he had to go and save. Like, little detours.
I did like the Lego trees, though. I thought that was so cool. Like, even the trees look like it was built with Lego. And I think that's this series and the whole Lego franchise. I think that's their strongest suit. Their strongest thing is their attention to detail. Like, when it showed close-ups on the characters, there was texture on their face or texture on their hands that wasn't just smooth. It was slightly bumpy, as if it were plastic made in a factory. It was slightly, there was just a very clear little texture with the lighting and the shading. And I was like, these are just uber talented people that they're very clearly going for Lego more than cartoon.
Exactly.
Cartoon would have a smooth surface. Lego would have a slightly not smooth surface.
And the design of any show really with Lego is you can build what you see on the screen.
Yes.
All the different parts and pieces and buildings and everything are buildable. So that's one of the really nice things that takes it from beyond animation to tangible animation. That's really cool.
That is very cool. Did you guys know there were some references in the show which were Marvel references, but they're just ones I know Marvel reasonably well, but not super well. Like I didn't know about AIM, and they just started saying AIM. I was like, oh, is that what those guys who looked like the minions were? Like, I guess they're AIM.
I'm assuming they're the bad guys.
Yeah, so I googled it to figure that out. Yeah, and also when Justin Hammer came back, they referred to him as like Detroit Steel. I was like, I guess that's him. I guess he's also Detroit
that was
Steel. I didn't know there were some references there I'm just missing.
Both of those, Detroit Steel and AIM, when they mentioned them, they seemed familiar to me, at least AIM for sure. And I don't remember if it was in an Avengers movie or in one of their many related movies or cartoons or a previous Lego thing. Detroit Steel, maybe not. AIM, I feel like it was definitely introduced somewhere along the line.
I think it has to deal with Iron Man 2, which I've seen once. So
forever ago too.
Exactly, yeah. Like back in those 2010s.
Advanced idea mechanics.
Yeah, I googled and that's what I found too. And it's like, oh yeah, there are apparently these people who are interested in global issues and stuff too. Like, okay, I guess it would make sense they would steal this.
Yeah.
It's also kind of sad that there are only like 15 people at this global summit to save the world, but maybe it'll grow.
Accurate.
It was just one session. There was another session everybody else was at.
Yeah, this is the prize session. There was another panel going on.
Yeah. Greta Thunberg was in the other panel, and so everybody was there watching that.
Yeah, they're all. I hope they all rode their bikes.
Tony Stark.
I hope they all rode their bikes to this conference, like our good buddy Mr. Ed Begley Jr. does, instead of what they did last year, which was everybody flying in their private jets. Which I kind of thought was like, you guys are doing more damage than good today. To be perfectly frank, no offense.
Hold it over Zoom. Save the planet.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Totally.
That would be so good.
Totally.
Anyway.
One thing I loved is that long conference name. I remember actually after they wrote it, I was like, oh, I wonder what the acronym for that would be. And I wrote it all out. And then the guy was like, EAAGPCUCC. I was like, that's what I just wrote.
Yep.
Thank God you wrote that down, because I was like, normally I write this kind of stuff down, but I was like, I just don't have the willpower to do this.
I had to like go back and play it again. To catch
I know, it would take way too long. But that was the joke, and we liked it.
I did like that.
So just to touch a little bit more on the climate thing, I do think that this is a very good and palatable way to introduce climate stuff, because I do feel like sometimes kids, I don't know anything about kids. They're scary to me. But it seems like when I was a kid, I was pretty resistant to people trying to teach me stuff. However, it's probably better to drop in these little messages into a cartoon so that the kid can say, Mommy or Daddy, what's fill in the blank, what they just heard. And that's the perfect time to say, well, Sally, it is, and then they tell them. And then the kid gets bored and walks off. But then a lot of times it sticks. A lot of times they retain it. I don't know. What do you think, Mohammed? You've got kids. I'm sure you've taught them a thing or two, right?
I do, and I think that's right. I think a lot of it would stick. And what I liked is, and I think Katie alluded to this too, is the specificity of it. So specifically, like, what do trees do? Why are they good for us? Why do we need more of them? What's happening in terms of the oceans? Oh my gosh, there's this much plastic pollution. We need to get rid of it. What's happening in the context of like so much, light coming from the sun? And actually, it's interesting. There are proposals out there for things, not these little like magnetic things are floating around. There are proposals out there for somehow like seeding clouds to try to cut back the amount of like radiation coming from the sun to help cool the planet a little bit. There are proposals along those lines. That's not crazy. I mean,
a lot of these things I recognize in real life. Like one was also reflectors. I've heard about people talking about reflectors as well. I've also heard about the people creating things that'll collect all the sea garbage out there. They're like islands of sea garbage swirling around. But so these were all things that people are currently working on. So this was really good. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And like with the Bruce Banner one where you had the tiles that went up to reflect the light, like people are doing that actively. There are towns where you get like you paint your roofs white or you use light colored tiling for your roof. And the albedo, that reflectiveness of the material, helps reduce that and induce cooling compared to absorbing that light. So they did some research on this.
They did.
People said my albedo needs some. People said my albedo needs some cooling too.
Yeah.
That was
I saw that one coming.
Yeah, me too. I'm so sorry about that.
There's some words in meteorology that you just don't use. Albedo, moist, all those.
I don't even know what albedo means, though. What is albedo? I know what moist means.
It's the reflectiveness of a material, like how if I put a white piece of paper out versus a piece of black construction paper, the white paper will have a higher albedo because it absorbs less light and reflects more of it.
Got it.
And then that has repercussions with like temperatures and absorption and heat.
So speaking on that, Katie, clearly there were some things where you said these guys need somebody to give them some helpful hints on how meteorology works. What were some of those things?
We can't modify the weather as much as we want to. We can't. It's just not possible with our current technology. And like, even future technology, it's going to be a long stretch. And when he was like, oh, there's currently a wildfire. Let me just shoot some rain on top of it. I was like clenching so hard. I'm like, no. Don't tell the kids this, because then that's how we get like cloud seeding. We're aerosoling the atmosphere, chemtrails, people.
Plus, I also kind of wanted to point out real quick at that moment, I was like, you guys, this doesn't sound very likely with even any in the near or distant future technology. But you also have someone named Storm that can just do that. Now, I guess it's easy for us to be like, our technology can't do that, but Storm can, the X-Man, like whatever. I'm just saying, in that world of mutants, they could just be like, hey, Storm. And she's like, I'm on it. Ping.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. No, just the scientist in me was screaming. The person inside me, I'm just like, okay, it's a kid's show. Let it go, Katie. But then there's also just, I've answered too many phone calls about why are you guys creating tornadoes that hit certain states and not others with your weather modification network? And I'm just sitting here like, I don't get paid enough for this.
It's funny that they call you about that too, like as though you're like at your TV station or doing that.
Exactly. They're like, you want your forecast to be good. It's like, if I could control it, I would be right all the time. Why would I take the flack for this if I could modify it?
That's true. Storm should be a meteorologist. So she could be like, there's going to be snow in Kansas in 1 second. Look at this. Perfect. Yet again.
Best meteorologist out there.
That is one of the concerns, though, about ultimately, trying to do things that actually could mitigate it on a planetary scale. That, like, if people do that, and then there is like you were saying, a tornado or something like that, even if it was not caused by the modification that was done, people will think that's the case, and there's gonna be a lot of blame out there. So that is one of the interesting challenges out there.
Well, and then you get people who get mad because you can immediately weaponize it too. Like, oh, we can stop things. Well, I'm going to stop it raining over a desert-stricken or like a desert or a drought-stricken area, and then So, yeah, that's why I always just say I'd rather be wrong sometimes than be right all the time about everything, because then it would just lead to more problems.
That's a good point. You should try being wrong about everything, and it's not that great either. Trust me.
Amazing, yeah. I mean, I said it would be cloudy today, but it's sunny, so I think people are probably happy about that. I'll take being wrong if it's on the bright side of things.
So you guys, speaking of bright side of things, you guys like the Avengers, generally speaking. Seems like you've seen all the Avengers movies and probably several of the, what are those called? Peripheral movies or...
MCU.
I have a full MCU Iron Man cosplay.
Wow.
Mechanized and everything.
I didn't know who Bruce was until they finally said Bruce.
Bruce Banner?
That guy.
So confused.
I just assumed it was him because when they said that there were two of them, I was like, okay, Tony Stark, they said. I'm like, the only other person it can be is Bruce Banner, right? He's the other scientist.
Yeah. I was just like, and who's the other guy? Because it was just a guy.
Hawkeye's great. Yeah.
Yeah, but there are other things that I was like, am I supposed to know like this MC Hammer guy? I didn't know who that was. I didn't recognize the masked kind of people either, although they kind of
like minions.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they kind of made me think they came from Despicable Me, to be honest. That was the confusion there. And then I started to think, well, is that the same universe? What's going on? No, that's
what
Universal.
If it was?
Then it's the Marvel Cinematic Universal. I don't know.
Universal has some rights in their parks to Avengers characters, so.
I think that's conflicting things. There's Universal Studios versus Disneyland, and they're like, oh yeah. Wow. Anyway,
what puzzled me near the beginning is when it zoomed in. When I was talking about the 3 categories of inventions, it zoomed down on the inventions. But like I was looking at the inventions, like I have no idea what that is or what that does. But it zoomed in. It's like for like cleaning pollution. It zoomed in on this thing. I'm like, okay, it's like I don't know what that is.
Looks like something made of Lego.
Yeah.
Okay, and can we, by the way, you guys touched on it earlier, and thank goodness you did, because I'm glad I'm not the only person that noticed this. I was blown away by how completely ineffective the missiles and lasers were on something that was made to pick up trash. Okay, I could understand if it was like a tank or a jet or something that they're like, this is my new war battalion machine, but he said, here's a drone I made to pick up trash. Usually drones and things like that, they're going to be super light, and Iron Man is shooting his missiles of war. And we're not even seeing a dent. And that just does not fit at all with what the narrative was that they were creating, which was this is some environmental thing. It's not some super structure.
Yeah, like the glass in the building wasn't blown out or anything. It was basically paintball.
Yeah.
And they kept doing it.
One other question I have is, like, did Captain America ever get his shield back? Because last we saw it went out the window.
I think
sort of that plot line.
When he popped back up, he had it.
Did he have? Oh, okay, I forgot.
It was like for a split second, maybe.
I was thinking, imagine like walking on the street and finding that, like, whoa,
mine.
Well, everybody, you better make me the 7th Avenger, or you're not getting this shield back.
Immediately starts going to the gym, like, I'm gonna make the most of this.
Yeah, doing my squats. Yeah, okay. So I'm glad that we gave them the shellacking they deserve for not having their garbage pickup thing. But then Hulk could smash it, no problem. So Hulk can smash something. I get it. He's super powerful, but like a missile could probably also, otherwise what's the point of having missiles if they can't even leave a scratch on it, on something that just picks up trash? And speaking of things that pick up trash, I did not know that Hawkeye drove a garbage truck. That thing was exactly like a garbage truck. That was a garbage truck, wasn't it?
Speaking of Hawkeye, his arrows were more effective than those lasers and missiles.
They were
missiles and lasers.
The plastic.
Like, okay.
Or maybe this is parents are like, see, I told you Lego are indestructible. They destroy my feet, and that's why I hate them. Okay. But we don't know who this hammer guy is, right?
Tony Stark's nemesis in the Iron Man 2 and was like trying to basically rip off his tech.
Oh, okay.
And then he teamed up with that Whiplash guy, and that was...
I've forgotten that movie completely.
Me too.
Yes, most people have.
I remember the Iron Man movies were actually pretty good. I didn't really care about Iron Man that much when I was a kid, or the Avengers. I was more of an X-Men guy. But when I saw Iron Man, I was like, wow, this is really well done. This is good stuff. I'm okay with it now. I can accept Iron Man.
Robert Downey Jr.'s definitely who made that work.
Yep. He sold it, yeah.
Totally.
Like, were you either of you guys slightly disappointed when you didn't hear their actual, like, Scarlett Johansson or Robert Downey Jr.? I was like, I know I shouldn't have expected it, but this is just weird.
Oh, I definitely expected them to not be in it. There's no way. Because we've seen, like, or on this show, we've done, like, other Avengers cartoons that aren't Lego. And I'm like, there's no way this cartoon has the budget to be like, sorry, Robert Downey Jr., we need you to leave the Bahamas for 5 minutes and come over to our little studio in Burbank and record a couple grunts.
See, we were totally pampered by the animated series of Star Trek.
Yeah,
yeah, true.
Too pampered.
Including the modern ones, too.
Yes.
All right. Well, this has been fun, but it's time for even more fun. Katie, let's talk about you for a moment. Turns out you're a meteorologist. What's up with that?
Yeah, I was in a tornado when I was little under an overpass and thought it was fun. So, my parents got me more and more weather books. And next thing you know,
Wow.
I'm on TV telling the weather.
Mm-hmm.
There was college in between there. It didn't just go from fourth grade reading level to this.
And just a follow-up question on that. If there were a way for you to consult your knowledge of meteorology into cartoons, TV shows, and movies, would you, or would you be like, nah, I'm just going to hang out here and eat my burritos?
I absolutely would. I want to make it as scientifically accurate as possible because then it's less problems for me.
So speaking of TV, I just recently watched you on something that happened to have a certain late night host on it. You and a partner were answering a bunch of questions related to the color purple, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Yep. I was on, You Bet Your Life with Jay Leno. I had to remember which game show it was. It started a bug in me where I'm like, I just want to do game shows. And I might just do that for a while. But it was really fun and everything. No, I'm a Scorpio. Because
so far we've heard you say like 5 different things where you're like, now I want to do this. Now I want to do that.
Oh, everywhere. Everything, everywhere, all at once. That.
Excellent movie.
It is. I watched it on the plane. But yeah, no, it was so much fun. And it was cool because it started full circle, really, because part of my job was being at a news station. Jay Leno came to town for his comedy tour. I got to go and interview with him. And he was like, you should apply for the show. I said, sure. I did. Got on. And then in between the commercial breaks when we were filming, I was like, I don't think you remember me at all, but I'm the meteorologist from Sioux City. You said I should apply. And now I'm here. He was like, Kevin, because Kevin Eubanks was over there. He's like, she applied when I told her to. It was really wholesome. So it was a blast.
That's so cute. I love it.
And my recollection is you won $5,000.
Exactly. Well, I had to split it between me and my partner, and then the government wanted us to split it between them.
Oh,
so
wow. You could have made like 6 omelets with all that.
I know, right? I could have bought so many eggs. I went out and I got Randy's donuts. Get In-N-Out burger.
Poor Randy.
Well, you were great on the show. I loved watching. You guys had a good energy, a good both you did really well in the questions, but also you had a good energy with each other and like your fist bumps with each other as you were going and stuff. That was great.
Well, it was so funny because we had such nervous energy. We were the last ones to film before lunch. And we really wanted to film before lunch, so we had the rest of the day to ourselves. Yeah. And so we were just like so hyped and amped. It just kind of kept going.
Did you feel
and she found me on Twitter, so I now I know her as a person too, and not just for the 20 minutes we knew each other on the show.
You seem very comfortable on TV, which was great. Do you think that's because you do TV all the time?
Oh yeah, that and like being able to do these things with you guys has helped because it makes you think on your feet, be good at explaining, and it helps you interact with people. So I give partial credit to all of you.
Did we warm you up to fake laughing at dumb jokes from Jay Leno?
Yes.
See, we helped them.
You just get that slight the chuckle. You get a little bump of the shoulders.
Man. Well, we're proud of you. Yay. Both.
Oh, thank you.
I think you should just be like the all the time Emmy winner instead of just
I would love it. Exactly.
The Emmy mainstay. Although I will say the little video that you put up of your game show appearance, when I watched it, I immediately heard Kevin Eubanks laugh and I was like, whoa, Kevin Eubanks, that is the cutest thing I've ever heard. Jay Leno's doing a game show and he brought Kevin Eubanks with him, just like the old days. You see, Katie, back in the old days, Jay Leno and Kevin Eubanks did a late night show called The Tonight Show, I believe. And it was just, they always had that great rapport. No, with Kevin Eubanks.
Made everyone in your generation just be sad for a second.
My favorite would be when Kevin Eubanks would be like, "That's cold, Jay." That was like his thing. Oh, I love that. So did you get to meet Kevin at all?
Oh yeah. Before when we got out on set and we did everything, first off, woo, and then you get a break for the commercial. And Kevin comes over and he's like, hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, it's amazing to meet you. And like, they were all talking about what they were going to go and have for lunch. And it was very you could tell that they were not arrogant at all. They're just like, hey, we're doing a game show and we're doing it for fun.
That's the cutest damn thing I've ever heard. I love it so much.
Yeah. And it made you a whole lot less nervous too.
So you mentioned that your friend followed you on Twitter. Do you want to tell people like how they can follow you too?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You can follow me at weather_Katie on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and then I'm So Many Random Fandoms on YouTube.
You want to tell us for just a second what So Many Random Fandoms is about?
Yes, So Many Random Fandoms is basically where my ADHD brain lives. I have so many different random fandoms that I'm a part of, and I try to make as many fandom forecasts for them as I can. And I create these forecasts for different places within fictional realms, and sometimes I cosplay for them. And it's really been fun because then people who like that fandom are drawn into weather, and next thing you know, there's more conversations going. So I love it. And we do an Order of the Blue Lotus podcast where we go through Avatar: The Last Airbender episodes with me and a friend from college.
Yay.
Nice.
Yeah. I love your videos too. The Animaniacs ones, the Star Trek ones, everything like they're fantastic. So kudos to you.
Thank you. I'm actually working on one.
Insane.
Oh, yeah, my voice has never recovered from recording many, many takes after the first one. And then we just ended up using the first one. So, oh well. But no, because they just announced that Dan Povenmire announced that Phineas and Ferb is coming back for 40 additional episodes, which... So I'm going to be doing a fandom forecast for Phineas and Ferb and like a forecast for 104 days of summer vacation. So that one, it kind of leapfrogged over one that was already in the chamber that I just had to build the graphics for. So we'll be getting a few here actually to start the new year.
So what's the top of a shoelace called?
Aglet. Aglet. Don't forget it.
That's it. Phineas and Ferb reference.
I feel like I've just
poor Ryan.
gotten lost.
Okay.
But I'm about to find my way back.
Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, if you want to torture this guy, and people are like, cool, I'm typing that in right now.
Spam the chat.
Yeah, WTF, Phineas and Ferb. Muhammad tells me it's time to do the karate chop for the bottom line.
Bottom line. Or terrible twos. But
terrible twos. There we go. It's the final two questions of the show, the two most important questions of the show, besides all the ones we asked of Katie just now. So like, questions 9th and 10th, most important. Question number 1 is, Dr. Muhammad Noor, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of, hang on a second, checks notes, Lego Marvel Avengers Climate Conundrum?
Got all the words, good job. I would give it a 2 + 5, so I'll give it a 7.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, it was again, it had some weaknesses, but overall, I found it, engaging enough that I wasn't bored by the end or anything like that. So I give it a flat 7.
Nice.
What about you, Katie, meteorologist?
I give it an
A.
6.
Nice. Oh.
Yeah. No, I gotta give it a 6. I cannot forgive entirely the weather modification problems, but I did enjoy the humor, especially at the one point where just one of the characters just goes, I'm out. Because I've had situations like that, especially at conferences where you're just looking at it and you're like, no, leave. So it was funny, and I'll give it that 6.
I like that scene too. That was funny.
I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade or rain on anybody's forest fire, but I gave it a 4.5. I'm not angry at this show. No, Katie, you nailed it. I'm not angry at this show. I think it's right around the middle. In fact, it's kind of better than I mostly expected, because usually things that you just see on a streaming service that you haven't seen any trailers for or heard anything for, it's usually they're just pumping stuff out for kids. They're just like, we just need more content. Who cares? Can you want to check the script? Nah, just do it. Just get it out.
They're kids. It's fine.
Right. So this was on the higher end of that kind of content, I think. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty boring was the one thing for me. It's pretty boring. But, hey, good job still. Marvel, Lego, Netflix. That was pretty good.
I may have been inflated by watching the Black Panther one first, which I didn't like. So that one may have made this one seem better by comparison.
There you go. Well, also, I don't know about you guys, but when I was watching it, I was like, I paused it to see how much was left, because it felt like it was just going and going and going.
I did do that at least twice. I did that in the first few minutes, because I was like, is this going to be, here's one thing real quick that really is why I can't give it a higher than a 5, is that I actually, how'd that happen?
I was wondering why you raised your
higher
hand.
than a 5. I was like, that's got to be a joke about high fives, maybe?
No, I didn't even like do that on purpose. It just, my hand got raised on its own. That's never happened in real life.
It's the ghost. Or is there a Lego typing on your keyboard?
No.
Because that might answer.
So this was the thing, was that I actually found myself wanting to fast forward. Like without realizing, my first thought, I was like, I'm just going to fast forward. And I was like, oh, wait, I can't do that. This isn't a YouTube video. This isn't something where I'm just skipping it. Like I actually wanted I'm like, let me just get through whatever's going on here and just fast forward to the next thing. Anyways, that's never happened before. But that's the answer to question number 1. Question number 2 is, checks notes, don't have any notes on this. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Lego Conundrum, Marvel Climate Conundrum, Avengers Salad. But now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, Dr. Muhammad Noor, would you, of your own volition, watch the second episode? Honestly.
Just totally on my own, no. I wouldn't do that. That said, like, let's say my son was home and he liked it and he wanted to watch it and watch the next one. I was like, that would be fine. You know, I wouldn't mind doing it. But am I likely to just go, pull up, like this was Netflix, right? Am I likely to pull up Netflix and click next episode? No. There's 1,000 things I watched before this.
Name 400 of them. No. You're like, I will.
That stream time.
What about you, Katie? Of your own volition, would you watch the second episode?
No. Nope. But I wouldn't give it a complete, like, I'm going to leave it in the dust behind me and never think of it again. I think I probably would look up the Wikipedia entry for it. I don't have the time to sit through all the episodes, but I can glimpse through an article to see what would happen. So, no-ish. I think I just broke the rules, but no.
That's like when people are trying to censor themselves and they want to say no shit. They say no-ish.
There you go.
It's also a no from me, although it was a pretty, solid no, but talking about it, I'm like, yeah, it's no-ish, right? Like Katie's saying, it's still definitely a no, but I'm not mad at the show. I'm glad that it exists. I hope it's good. I hope kids watch it and enjoy it, and I hope it piques interest in them, and I hope they get a second season of 4 episodes. So I'm happy about the show, and I'm favorable towards it, and I would recommend it to people with kids or anybody that just likes Lego stuff. It's cool. It's fine with me, but no, I wouldn't. That's it for us, everybody. We didn't even say real quick, who's your favorite character in this?
I kind of liked Bruce. Bruce was good. Bruce was trying to help things out with albedo. I'll take Bruce. Got to use that word as much as I can because I can't use it in normal conversations.
I go with Justin Hammer because I just found it interesting just trying to understand what his motivations were and things like that. So I think I'd actually go with Justin Hammer. Justin Bieber.
Yeah. I don't even have one. There was no Thor, by the way. Thor was not in existence. So maybe
he can wield lightning. That would have made more sense.
True. Maybe he starts the forest fires.
I guess Tony was like, I need to put out a fire. Can you start one for me?
Oh my gosh, that'd be terrible.
I guess I don't really have one. I can't really. Maybe Black Widow.
You say Rhodey since he just came by for a minute.
Yeah, War Machine.
Anyone's fair game.
I don't know.
Brunch number 5.
Any of those. Take your pick. Nobody really stood out to me, but maybe one of those. Thor. I think Thor's my favorite of the real Avengers, so maybe he was my favorite today.
The heck, he's in the background.
That's there.
Thor, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he comes in later. And,
Well, now we have to watch the second.
No, we don't.
All right. So everybody, if you'd like us to review a show and vacillate between yes and no and do things out of order, in the comments below, just type WTF and whatever that show happens to be. Like you could say WTF Wings or WTF Phineas and Furburger or
WTF Designated Survivor.
WTF Designated Survivor. But then tell us where we can watch it or stream it. And then we will watch it. Maybe. That's about it. Until then, please remember to give this video a like. If you're listening in, give it a 5-star rating. Leave your comments below on this show or on Muhammad's weird jokes, or on your recommendations for what we'll do next. And until then, always remember what Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg likes to...
This podcast first.
I'm so sorry. Always remember that Muhammad reminds us what to do. No. Yeah, no, you're right. This podcast was a little disjointed, or like one director once said to me that I will never forget. She said like way too much. She just everything was like. She put it in the middle of a word. She said, oh, and it's dislike jointed. And I was like, okay, that's too many when you put it in the middle of a word. Anyway, this podcast was dislike jointed.
So similar to that consulting matching service, this podcast was a science and entertainment exchange.
There you go. And this podcast was, I think, the first one that I got my guesstimations right with you two. So win.
Yeah,
nailed it.
Katie. We love you.
Now, please remember what Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to say.
Yeah, don't forget to be an organ donor, and don't forget to watch the first of things.
Freeze frame like Hammer.
Sit around for a while and post that shitty